My hands are, I washed them before class too, so hopefully. All in the, for the sake, here it is. Here, drive. So do you have any specific questions? Oh, and if they're 8 minutes a student, is what I'm doing. And that should get us, I mean, we know how it goes. It ends up being 9 minutes and then, but no, 8 minutes would give us about 20 minutes to stoppage time. So start with your most pressing questions without further ado. Okay, in general, how is it? Yeah. Sure. Okay. So just general feedback. I'm happy to spend a bit of time with that. So let me first start by looking at what you selected here. And maybe I'll talk a bit quieter so that my voice. Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. In terms of like grading and points and just for learning how to. Oh, I see. Okay. Sure. I think I understand. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Mhm. Okay. I think I follow what you're saying. So we'll go. Sure. I'll go through how you built this. I'll try and keep an eye on this to leave time at the end for your other questions. So right off the bat, your master feels a bit lacking to me. I would expect to see like, if I turn this back on, if it were me, for the very least, the master, I'd probably have this box. Is it somewhere else? Oh, I see. Okay. So, okay. So let's hide this again. Um, wait. So where did this sketch? What is this sketch here? You ended up using it for something else. Okay. We'll figure it out. Okay, no, so far this makes sense to me. Like your starting build, all that all makes sense. I see what you're saying here. You said, got you, then you cut it. Okay, so let me answer that question first. Um, and you cut it with, so here you could, for example, so if you had a master that had the length of the handle in it, you would have a sketch with a point where it stops. So I'll give you an example here. This will be a bit of an in-depth example, but I think it's answering one of the questions you had. So imagine in this master that you just represent this handle like this. Now when you get to this here, when you edit this, you can say, where does the sketch start from? So you can say vertex, and you can click here. Okay, did you understand what I just did? And that allows you to pick something. And then you can say direction, you can say up to vertex, and you can select here. And now I believe if you click check, we're not seeing it. Oh, because the sketch is in front of us, but there it is. It's happening in there. Do you see that? Now, actually, this is an issue. Technically, technically, you want this front plane in the center of your object. That's also for best efficiency. And I'm assuming that's because of this. So here, you want to change the setting to midplane, and then it shifts it to the middle. Yeah. Does that make sense? That midplane? Okay. So let's continue through. So to some, I'm going to see if this is going to cause issues further down the road. If it does, you might lose some points on that. But it, honestly, at this point, it's probably not worth tweaking to that degree to like recenter everything. So now this cut is going to fail because. So here I'm just going to say sketch plane so that that cut doesn't fail. Technically, this makes this inefficient or unnecessary. Yeah, this makes sense. Typically, though, if it's me, I would have this all the way at the top. I don't know why it can't go higher than that. So we'll see. But other than that, your approach makes sense so far. Let's see this revolve. Yep, that makes. How to move? Which guy? Oh, move it down. So where did you make this plane? How did you make this? So here you can reverse the offset. You can say flip offset. So you can move the plane down, or you can change the distance here. Okay, I apologize. You have, let's call it a minute and change left. No, so if you have other questions, you want me to, or did you want to just keep going through what we're doing now? I'll just try and go a bit faster. So you can move that plane down. I mean, honestly, everything looks pretty good off the bat, and you don't have, the major thing so far has been the fact that it's not on center. I would say that's been the biggest thing. No, you don't have to rebuild it. At this point, especially, I'm just worried about all of you having enough stuff to be done. This is looking good. Did you put a body on the inside? Good. That's good. Slight offset. That's great. That's good. That's good. I like what you did. That's kind of a weird fillet to put it this way, but. I would fillet this edge here. Oh, yes. That's what I would do. I'll give you a bit more time. You're the only person because I talked over it. I'm just saying that because I know I'm going to go over it with everybody. I guess you have one pressing question here. For the most part, you approached it correct. I would try and figure out how to get these masters to the top if you can. Okay. Let's find where this one went, and maybe that's the last thing I'll give you. It's the one because I didn't have this page and do like parse. Oh, it is in here. I found it later. Files. All right, I would try. So my advice to you is get your masters to the top. Move this. I think you're generally in the right place. All these cuts and stuff look good. Don't forget your buttons. Yeah, I was cutting another image. And then I would also like get this shelled out or get that cavity in there. Throw some fillets on here. Cool. All right. Should we continue with the silly game or should I just do hand sing? Who wants to be next? Anybody? Nina. We're just going to keep it simple. From here on out, I'm being strict when the timer goes off. Like one question, one sentence answer, and that's it. So I have everything open, so hopefully that will also save time. So here you had, just beware your assembly. It wasn't a pack and go, so the fan blade's missing, but I don't think it's necessary for your render.
Oh, yeah.
So just FYI. So, okay, same to you. The timer's going. What's your most pressing question?
So I was thinking of doing actually a view from the back, so I could put the logo there too.
Oh, okay.
And so if I put the fan blade in, but I'll show you the picture.
Yeah, or I can pull it up here. I think I have it. Is it in your PDF?
Yeah. So I have
This view.
So I was trying to get.
You just want this. You're saying this view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I wanted to get the top completely flush with these guys up here, and at the top of this long circle that I started. And the only way I felt like it was happening was if I was extruding something on the bottom. I didn't know how else to send it exactly there.
I'm sorry, I don't quite follow. You're trying to get what to be flush with what?
If you flip it around. This, like the ends of these, it's like curved down.
You want this and this to be flush.
Yeah. So here, the way I did it is fine. But then I wanted to cut the thing in the middle so that I could have like that kind of empty space there.
Oh, sure.
And then I was trying to figure out how to build this in one piece and this in another piece, but still have it be a part of everything, or if I could cut in the middle, or like what I could do to get that kind of gap.
Okay.
That was really complicated.
No, I understand. Well, here's the short answer. If you don't, by combining it all as one, it makes it harder to cut.
Yeah.
So you could, oh wow, that's a short tree for the complexity of this. That's a good job. So if you edit this and just don't check merge result, you simply could just cut it now. So if you go to this view, wherever you want that cut to be, I don't know where, but imagine you can set this depth however you want. Extrude cut. If you want to cut from the middle, you can go like. And now by not merging the bodies before, down here in feature scope, you could select, you could uncheck auto selects, and it'll give you a box here that's currently hidden by my clicker thing. And in this box, you want to click on the body that you want it only to affect, which in this case is this inner cylinder. And then you can click check. And so here you can see it has two resulting bodies here. And you want to just say keep both bodies. And then the final command would be to then select all of these, right click and say combine. And then, sorry, say combine and say add.
Combine.
Check the add box and then select all three bodies. And then that will merge them back into one. And now you have a gap. Is that what you wanted? This gap in here. Just some stuff I noticed. So this here, just make sure that you're going.
So that's not, I wasn't sure if it was quite right.
I feel like whatever is making this, you want it to just be a little bit longer.
Okay.
So how did this start? Extrude thin? Oh. Well, so this might be a bit confusing, but oh, you already did it. Yeah.
I thought I solved it, but I wasn't sure if it was just this that was making it look off. I haven't done Patricia yet, or if it's not flush.
We still haven't solved your setting of it. No, that looks good. That's right. Let's see. See what this does. Nope, that's good too. Let's see what this does. That's good. That's good. weird. Okay. It's all correct.
Is it just the page or the position?
Oh, you know what it might be? This is what it is. Okay. Um, this face is not aligning to this one. So if you were to simply copy this, I don't know if this is going to screw it up, but let's see what happens actually instead of doing this. You see what I'm talking about? I'm talking about this kind of like weird meeting here.
Mm-hmm.
It's simply that when you do this revolve cut, I'm going to see this. This may blow up your model if we do Control Z, but I'm going to see if I can drag this all the way to the bottom here. And what that does by moving it to the bottom, there you go, just smooth it out.
Ooh, wait, what happened?
I don't know if that's what you want,
Yes.
but
That's what it is.
so here's what happened. This, whatever sketch you're using to make this, which is this front master, do you see how you have a curve that comes to the inside of this circle?
Mm-hmm.
That means that when you extruded this circle, it went above this curve. So there was like, it met at a slight different height. Does that make sense?
Okay.
But now by moving the cut to after you created that center extrusion,
Uh-huh.
now it smooths it out.
Oh.
So for you, I would simply just take that revolve cut and drag it to your last command.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right, because that's how I think the fan actually is.
Yeah.
That this is all blended on the inside. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, can you make this out of it?
Okay, you have 33 seconds left. So what's your main question here?
I didn't really know where to put a label since we have to put a label on the end, so I was thinking of doing a lamp instead, but I don't know if that's too simple because then you're flipping the shape and putting a light bulb inside, and then the lighting would change maybe. So should I just go ahead with the juicer and try to put it somewhere here? Because I feel you would be on the bottom, but I could throw something here.
See what you're saying. And here goes the thing. So this is the last question I can answer. I wouldn't let the fact that it requires a label change your mind to a lamp.
Okay.
A lamp would be easier, but if you are going to do a lamp, I would want to see this profile shape change more. Um, as far as the juicer goes, I mean, it might have some branding, maybe like on the top of the handle.
Okay.
So like, you know, if this is what the handle looks like, you might have a brand there.
Okay.
It can always be on the bottom too, just so you could rotate it to see that.
I think I have this figured out, but I'll have to ask you. How to do this.
It's gonna be tricky.
Yeah.
You might be able to.
Thinking of doing like a sweep cut through a revolved dome that meets, like spins out this way and then patterning it around. But I don't know if it would like meet more at the top.
So I would recommend. I'd have to think more about what you just said, and just again, I don't want to go over with everybody. In the remaining time, what alls I would do is these lines. I would extend them further. You have lines that are going to a circle like that, right?
Uh-huh.
I would change the lines so that they go closer to the center of the circle.
Uh-huh.
That will allow you to do a tighter spiral like this. You could even add a curvature to the line.
Oh, okay.
So like, yeah, I'm sorry, we don't have much time to get. I want to get into this, but I just want to make sure it has the same time. I would basically just bring that closer to the center, and then this cut. I would just take this cut you did here and just bring it way in to make it more narrow like this. But I think you can do this with two different revolve cuts. So a revolve cut that looks like that shape, and then this down here is like bigger and open. Cool. Yep. All right, who's next? First hand I see. Sorry, Max. Sorry, Alec. Alec, I'll get you next. All right, I haven't started your timer yet. I'm just getting everything sorted. Think about what question you might have. You already know, I believe, it's the chair.
think I
Did you upload it to Box?
yeah.
All right, starting your timer.
So I'm having trouble figuring out how to pattern.
This all the way around.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a me at the bottom. I put it in the one half.
Cool.
But I tried doing it just as a circular pattern, but then it doesn't meet up well, so half it doesn't even do it, so I won't even fill it or do the pattern. And it
Follow.
won't let me sketch pattern. The
Okay.
sketch that I used for that.
Okay. So I would try and do it. Yeah, I just dealt with these. These patterns, sketch and curve patterns, are a little bit more tricky than I realized. So sometimes it might seem a little bit backwards, but patterning a body is easier than patterning a feature. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So firstly, I'm going to and then use the subtraction command to remove it from it. So that's going to give you a little bit more robustness in patterning it.
Okay.
So let's give this a shot to begin with.
That actually makes a lot more sense.
So from the right plane, I'm going to take this. I'm going to copy your sketch here. And I'm simply just going to create an extrude with it. And I'm going to go from like here, sorry, as a starting vertex. I'm just going to go from like from there and just set it blind to like 5 inches and hope that pierces. And there's no harm in making it go further just to make sure it absolutely cuts through the body. We don't want to merge. We're going to do a quick check. So now here's our body. So now we're going to go to curve-driven pattern. The direction we're going to select, I'm assuming you want it to run roughly along down here. We can try. Now here's the only problem with that. If we take this view, you'll notice that this kind of like goes down and around. So one thing.
I think that's what it kind of does too.
Okay, that's fine. We can try this. It's just be aware that it's going to move this down slightly.
Yeah.
Let's just work with it then. For what it's worth, if you want something that's more smooth than this, you can use a split line. You can create a split line with just a single line across here, and it'll keep it straight, or you can set the angle at which you want it to go. But here, let's go to curve-driven pattern. The direction we want to pick is this angle here. We don't want features. In this instance, we want bodies. Select this, and I mean, it's a bit extreme to have that many set, but yeah, whatever spacing. Let's say we want it to be 2 inches. You'll notice though that it at 2 inches, even though I have 3 or 4 types in here, it only gives us 1. You know, as we bring this down, eventually 1 appears. So I think you had the photo in here. If I set this to visible, I'll just check this for now. Okay. Yeah, those are pretty close. So it's definitely closer than that inch. So I can change this. Let's just say it's that. But here's the issue. You can see it's like starting to like fall, and that's why I'm saying I would maybe make a split line to guide your curve.
Now would it follow it all the way down?
It should. Let's try and do this real quick. So what I mean by that is to take.
If not, I'm really starting a quick question.
Sure.
If you zoom in right here, so I cut it with this sweeping line. Is it just this gap because of like the in vendor. I don't remember what term it is, but like.
Oh, because of just like computing power?
Yeah.
No, it's not. That gap is actually there. I'll remember that. Let me. Man, I wish I had like a ton of time with you. What's up?
Is it because of the cut and then fill it?
I would have to look at it specifically. I would. Don't worry. I will definitely address that. Let me just see if I can quickly get this. So surfaces, split line. So this is the angle, right? And then you want to select the faces you want this on. Here, I'll fly through solving this. So do you see how that it gave us that angle? So now when we go to this pattern, we can edit this and reselect that edge. I lost it. That's why, because we had that split. So we can do this. So here's where the body becomes key. I'll just show you this last bit. Is in here, once again, you go to curve driven pattern. Now it won't let you go beyond that single line, right? So you have to do it in stages. So for this next one, you have to select this. And then here, because we did it in bodies, you can go ahead, it's hidden down here, but I promise it's down there. You can go ahead and select just this body.
Okay.
And it should, oh, it's not giving it to us. Shoot, I need to rethink about this. There's a chance that it just needs to be over. You could also, because of bodies, you could, I'm just going to give you a quick workaround. I'm not quite sure what the problem is. You could also just copy one of these manually. I would try and move it the same amount that all the other ones are patterned. I'm not going to waste time figuring out what that is now. And now let's see if that solves it. Select this. Why is it not working? Oh, click this. There you go.
Okay.
So I noticed that the arrow is pointing the wrong way. It should be going this way. So that might be part of it. But because of the curve, this may change a little bit. Does that make sense to you, roughly?
Yeah.
The final thing to do is to do combine body. So like you can, for example, just select two things, right click, say combine. You want to have it to subtract, clear all these settings. This is the main body here, and then the body says subtract all of these.
Okay.
And then it'll break it away.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at your thing down here in the remaining time that we have. So I'm going to highlight this and look at what's creating that. I'm going to roll this back up here. So my simple solution to you is to take this sketch here and simply just, just drag it up and do it.
All right. I just don't want to do this. I know I have like a thin shell.
Yeah, you could like set this here to this, so you see where that edge is?
Yeah.
And then you could just make sure that you stay within here. And now, I mean, I did it shitty, but
Okay. That makes sense.
any last question? Nope. Okay, the last thing I'm going to tell you that I just saw in your thing is just notice that the chair scoops forward. And I feel like you could scoop a little bit more forward. And you're going to a snow shovel?
No, I'm going to laundry basket.
Perfect. So you can chop it in here the other way and add handles.
I'll have the handles in
Okay, that's perfect. Cool. All right, Alec is next. Yeah, that's fine. Unfortunately, though, I'm going to use your time for that.
Oh, no, that's totally fine. I have one major question.
Okay.
But for the most part, from last time, I asked it to make it to a hoverboard.
Yeah.
I'm pretty set on that.
Awesome.
Um,
So which one? Attempt two?
so for in the record, there's like a small dial on the side.
Okay.
I don't really know how to approach it.
Okay.
Because it's like it's only like a section of it that's shown, but then in the front view, it doesn't even go past like the outside.
I follow. So you're asking about this little dial right here, and you're not quite sure how to put it in here?
Yes.
I follow. Good question. I like it because I can answer it. All right, so you could simply create a sketch on this face. So I select that face and I can hit Alt S. Alt N makes me look at it normally. There's different view settings here. You could go to this dotted line view, and this shows you like where the hole is here. And if you wanted this to look like a scroll, I hit O to make a circle. You can simply drag this to whatever size you want. But you're saying it's not visible, so you want to keep it back behind here. No, it doesn't have to fit perfectly in that cavity. Like what I'd be looking at, probably for realistic, is like where this corner is.
Okay.
I mean, I'm totally making this up, but in terms of like the size. And then here you can simply go to extrude. And my advice here would be, instead of setting blind to say up to surface, and just so we're not so confused, simply just tell it to go to this face. And just uncheck merge result. But now you can just like, I don't know if that looks real, if that,
No.
what I meant by the size of the diameter of this is maybe you want it to go closer to this corner. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, if I try and keep an eye on this face, again, if we say normal 2, face is highlighted. If I now switch to this view, I remember that it's this top corner. So if I edit this sketch, all I'm saying is maybe making this as big as it can get close to this corner, but then just dragging it back so it's not invisible. Which I don't know, that might get pretty freaking mess. It also doesn't have to be a whole circle, you know.
Right, yeah.
It could just, you could literally just make an arc with an end.
Okay.
But for me, as far as like, that feels more real, that spacing.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Damn, nice work, dude. That's good. I'd throw some fillets on here if you can.
Yeah.
It'll help.
I'm waiting till it finishes.
Perfect. Yeah, fillets last. You got it. These grooves might be good enough. I don't know if you plan to do, you might be able to do texture groove and key shot. It's up to you. As far as my grading, I'll accept this. In terms of CAD detail, in terms of getting it to like match as closely as possible, this may be close enough. I don't know. I can't tell you without seeing it in key shot. But like you could, I don't know how well do you know Illustrator? Okay, not that well. Can you at least make concentric circles in Illustrator?
Yeah.
If you made a bunch of black, if you made just a bunch of black concentric circles in Illustrator and applied as a bump map,
Okay.
you might get something close to this.
Okay.
What other questions do you have?
Really.
That's it? I mean, because if you don't have any other questions, I can show you what I mean in Illustrator.
Yeah.
Or I can look at this carefully. Let me just give you some overall feedback. I mean, I think your CAD setup in your other projects has been spot on, so like, I'm not concerned. Are you comfortable in Keyshot? I think you said you are.
Yeah.
You know it. So these labels,
Yeah.
you're good on that? All right, let me just then show you quickly. Hopefully I don't bog my computer down with this, but you still have 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So I can show you how to do this. But I think, yeah, just like black circles, the bump map should work. If for some reason it doesn't, I mean, the other thing we can do actually while this loads is we can simply search record texture. I don't know if this will do this. You can see. Oh yeah, nice. All right. Unfortunately, you would want a 2-dimensional view. So you might be able to like, oh, it's not so good. Honestly, you might be able to take this, select it out, and just so you have just the grooves, and then run it through Photoshop like I showed you all, through the bump map. That would actually probably be better than what I'm about to show you. But what I need here is think if you go object, transform, scale, and just let's say something really small like 99. Maybe let's say 98 and say copy. It keeps it, and then if you just hit Control D a bunch of times, it copies it.
Okay, and then do the bump.
And then save this out as a JPEG and do it as a bump map, and I believe it will work because it's black and white. I think it'll still do it. It'll perceive, I think, white as up and black as down.
Okay.
And obviously, depending on this again, object transform scale, depending on what percentage you put in here, if you put like 99 or 99.5, it'll make those lines closer together. But I think what I wanted to show you is that by hitting copy and then just hitting Control D, it just makes your life easier.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Actually, it looks like we're getting, whatever. You'll figure it out. Cool?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, nice work. It looks good. What's your most pressing question?
Is there a way to update?
From SolidWorks to KeyShot?
Because like right now,
Less.
I was working on the memory, and then this really hard bigger.
Okay.
And so I had to edit.
Is it KeyShot open on your computer?
No, not that.
Um,
Because like right now, I sent the file to my email and downloaded it on my OS.
okay.
Because I don't know, the keyshot works a little better on the OS for the Mac.
Gotcha.
But then I don't want to be like flipping between.
I think I understand. Okay, actually, I apologize making you open it because I can just do it here. I wasn't sure if you had it open. Okay, so I'll fire up KeyShot here. Let me pause this. Okay, so let's say that you want to update your file here to the new one. I believe it's probably not going to work here, but I believe if you go to File, Import, and now if I navigate here to Electric Kettle, so here I have a humidifier, I want it to be the Electric Kettle, and I say Open. It gives me an option here where I believe it should say, all right, here at the top, add to scene or update geometry. I believe if you select update geometry and say import, it should, especially if it was just a simple change, it should be smart enough to know and replace it.
Oh, and then it'll apply what.
Yeah, so it didn't work here, unfortunately. So maybe we can use this as a test, though.
But like on the original model,
Mhm.
will it work on the original model?
It should. We'll use this as a test. Is this your main question? I mean, do you want me to invest time in this, or do you have other things?
No,
Okay. So let's do this. I've imported this on this computer. Let's look at this big radius down here. I'm now going to open this in SolidWorks and kill that radius, and we'll see if now importing the updated geometry will it'll be smart enough. So I'm going to now navigate to that file under P3, and once again P3 was this kettle. So let's just mimic what you did. I know you made the radius bigger, but we'll mimic it by making this radius smaller because that will be more easily visible for us. What should we do? What's the minute? That's not what I want. Let's try this one. Go. Fill it. Hopefully it doesn't blow up on us. 6.2. Let's make it 0.05. Save it. Alright. Close. No, not even close. Now let's go here. Let's go back to File. Import. Now once again, Electric Kettle. It's the same file we edited. Let's hit open. Update geometry. So okay, we've applied two materials. Let's see if it keeps it. Hopefully this works. It did. So that's what you do. So you just have to select update geometry. Cool. Okay, everybody, maybe this is helpful to everyone. So it is in the video. I wish I could go back, but I can't. What we just did is Juan was asking if editing something in SolidWorks, if you can update it in Keyshot and how to do that. Maybe some of you know this, maybe some of you don't. The simple answer, and again, you can go back and watch this in the video. I can check the time. But if you go to File, Import, let's say you made a change, in this instance, to electric kettle 2. You change the size of, what I just did is I changed the size of this fillet down here. When you go and open it with that new change, as long as you click Update Geometry, and I believe the name is the same, it should keep all of the materials and stuff. So that's something you might be able to get away with your redesign too, if you don't want to reapply all the materials. Some of it may carry over. But it also makes sense for like the little changes you want. So the main key again is just checking Update Geometry. Back at ease, back at what you're doing. Good question, Juan. Anything else? You have 2 minutes, but I can give you more since I just adjusted that.
I think.
Okay.
So on my model,
Yeah.
there's so that little screen under the record button in the photo. I don't know.
It's like flush.
Yeah, but there's like a sheen that looks like this.
Okay.
Right now, the way I was rendering it, or I was applying material, I just put glass on both.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like right, because then realistically, it should be a thin layer that's glass, and then in the back.
So my advice to you would be this. I would kill these fillets for the copy render. I like that you did them, and for this class, I think that's great. But for the render, I remember, if we look at it here on the side, I know it's like smooth. What I would do is I would apply like a car paint material to both of them, because the car paint will make it look really shiny. And I would just make this one black, and then, or like I would make them both black, and then I would break the link between the two of them, and then I would edit this one and just change the color. Does that make sense? So like, apply the same material to them, get the lighting so it looks good, and then just change the color of this one material. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As opposed to like trying to put something over it or making it glass. I think that's going to be
That's the wax lines on the top. I did make.
That's good. That makes sense.
I wasn't too sure how to make the actual. Well, if it's like a glass material, it has to refract the light.
Yep.
I'm not sure, but.
Well, and you built this right because you built an actual lens in here, so you can, yeah, applying glass material to that should help. What you can do too is once you apply the glass, so a couple things that's new from the toaster. You might want to apply it as solid glass, would be my recommendation, as opposed to not solid glass.
Oh.
That's going to help you with the refraction a bit more. And then if you double click on your glass material, if you change this to dielectric, I believe it makes it pop a little bit more. Again, that's something I literally just learned. And just play with your refractive index. You can pump this up and down, and also play with your transparency distance. You can pump that up and down to get reflections that you want. But definitely start with solid glass. I think that's going to point you in the right direction for your lens. Okay. Cool? All right, nice work.